Silent Snow, Secret Snow, a short story penned by American author Conrad Aiken in 1934, recounts the journey of 12-year-old Paul Hasselman. The tale unfurls when Paul experiences a peculiar hallucination, perceiving the entire world covered in snow. This event triggers a cascade of daydreams about snow, leading him to gradually lose touch with reality. Despite the intervention of his parents and a doctor, all efforts to restore Paul's grip on the real world prove futile. Regarded as one of Aiken's most renowned works, the story delves into the psychoanalytic notion of insanity, challenging the conventional understanding of sanity as a reflection of an objective reality. Instead, it suggests that sanity merely represents shared, mostly unconscious beliefs. Silent Snow, Secret Snow is structured into 4 sections. The story begins with Paul attending 6th grade in Mrs. Buell's classroom, where he struggles to concentrate on his schoolwork due to his preoccupation with a vivid memory from a few days prior. Lost in thought, he absent-mindedly gazes at Mrs. Buell's globe during a geography lesson. His classmate Deirdre timidly explains the meaning of the word equator as Paul's mind drifts away. He recalls the sensation of snow falling outside his home, deducing its presence from the muffled crunch of the mailman's footsteps on the cobblestones. However, when he investigates, he finds the ground bare. Nevertheless, Paul remains convinced that a secret snow has indeed descended. This secret snow becomes a symbolic representation of Paul's detachment from reality. With each passing day, the memory of the mailman's footsteps grows fainter in his mind, as if fading away and being replaced by the snow. Paul harbors an inexplicable understanding that he must keep his knowledge of the secret snow to himself, refraining from sharing it with anyone else. Meanwhile, at school, Mrs. Silent Snow, Secret Snow, a 1934 short story by Conrad Aiken, follows the narrative of 12-year-old Paul Hasselman. As the story progresses, Mrs. Buell, Paul's teacher, enlightens the class about the search for the Northwest Passage in the 1600s and 1700s. For a brief moment, Paul regains his presence of mind and answers a question about the adventurer Henry Hudson. His classmate Deirdre commends him, and the bell rings, signaling the end of the lesson. The second part of the story finds Paul walking home from school, contemplating his lack of motivation to rise in the morning, when it is so effortless to indulge in thoughts of the secret snow from the comfort of his bed. The world he once perceived as reality now appears strange, hostile, and incomprehensible. Paul recoils with disgust at the disorder and decay of discarded trash in a gutter. Upon reaching his house, he views it as an unfamiliar place. In the third part, during supper that same evening, Paul's parents, concerned about his well-being, call a doctor to examine him. Paul meets the doctor's arrival with hostility and defiance, interpreting the examination as an intrusive interrogation. As the doctor assesses him, Paul begins to hear the whispers of the secret snow. Prompted by the doctor's probing questions, Paul eventually confesses that his profound distraction stems from his fixation on thoughts of the snow. The fourth part unfolds with Paul's parents, growing increasingly worried about his deteriorating mental state. He rejects their attempts to aid him, retreating into isolation within his room. In his imagination, the snow permeates every aspect of his familiar world. He experiences a sudden aversion towards his mother, dismissing her pleas for assistance and expressing his hatred towards her. Eventually, Paul succumbs fully to insanity. He perceives the world's problems as solved and seamlessly unified as the snow endlessly expands, echoing with laughter. Finally, the snow speaks to him, offering to reveal the last, most beautiful and secret story, in which the world collapses and concludes, rather than complicating or extending. As the story concludes, Paul senses a sensation akin to sleep settling upon him. The enigmatic and unsettling conclusion of Silent Snow, Secret Snow, refrains from definitively affirming or refuting the authenticity of Paul's snow-induced visions. It presents a divergence in reality, as if multiple narratives have emerged, with Paul being drawn down the less trodden path. Through this perplexing yet thought-provoking descent into madness, Aiken challenges the notion that sanity is the sole legitimate lens through which reality can be perceived. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.